Hi, everybody. This is Jeannie Fisher, the 401k lady, and we are actually streaming live from the NAPA 401k Advisor Summit in Las Vegas. And I am sitting here with a huge guest of honor. He actually just came off of the general stage delivering the general session. This is Mr. Brian Graff, the Chief Executive Officer of the American Retirement Association. Now, explain to those of us who are not in the industry, because we are on YouTube right now, we are on Facebook, and we are on LinkedIn. So there are probably people out there watching who do not understand what the American Retirement Association does and what you do, particularly in your role. So, layman's terms,
Sure.
What do you do?
Well, first of all, thank you, 401k lady. It's great to be here, Jeannie. And so really what American Retirement Association ARA does is try to work with Congress and whatever administration is in charge at the time. And we're bipartisan. We work with both sides of the aisle to help them understand how retirement plans work. Because as I know, the 401k lady says all the time, they can be complicated, but she does a good job making them simple, and help make the rules simpler, make it easier for Americans to save for retirement. Because the mission of the organization is really so that every working American has a chance at a comfortable retirement. That's what I'm here for. That's what drives me personally. And so that's what we focus on. Obviously, we put on big conferences like this to educate folks in our industry about what's happening, both in Washington, but also from an industry trend standpoint. So we work on that as well. And I'd say, most of the time I'm, banging on doors in Washington, either physically or virtually, to try to get them to make the rules better for everybody.
Thank you. That was helpful. So, of course, the mission of the American Retirement Association is to help the Americans retire, with dignity and grace and have that financial independence. And you opened with remarks around the coverage gap. And you actually related it to health insurance, which I thought was really interesting. 100% of America now has health insurance, essentially?
It's pretty close. I don't want to say 100%, but it's pretty darn close, yeah.
Virtually, yeah, pretty darn close. So now we look at the retirement coverage gap, and right now only about 60%,
That's right,
okay, have access to a retirement plan. So you teed up the Automatic Retirement Act, and I'll just crash course it for those who weren't in this session very quickly. It is a proposal right now that would require or mandate any employers with 6 or more employees to offer some form of retirement savings program, and it does include auto enroll of 6% with an escalate up to 10%. So we talk about this potentially passing effective 1/1/2023. Okay. And you gave us all kinds of insights into potentially 600,000 new plans, I believe was the number. I think you said 62 million new savers.
That's right.
So huge initiative. I'm going to ask you to kind of dig into the what you see being the long-term impacts and effects of this if it were to pass in its form.
Well, I think, thanks, Jeannie. I think the biggest thing is that we know that for most Americans, the only way that they're going to save is if they have access to a plan at work. They have some chance to achieve a comfortable retirement is really premised on having a plan at work. It's like the gateway.
Yeah.
Moderate income workers are 12 times more likely to save when they have access to a workplace savings program. So we've got to get the coverage gap addressed, and it's particularly pronounced for people from communities of color. Almost 3/4 of Latinx workers have no retirement savings. I think it's 60% of Black workers, as compared to only 1/3 of white workers have no retirement savings, and a lot of that is due to the coverage gap. There's a pronounced number of folks in those communities that work for smaller businesses that tend not to have a plan. So what this would do, kind of piggybacking on ideas that exist in a lot of states already, like California, Oregon, New York just enacted this, would be to require employers, as you said, with 6 employees to have a plan. But just to make it clear, very sensitive of the burden on small business, particularly in light of the pandemic. There's no employer contributions required. There's a tax credit to cover 100% of the costs for the small business. So really, it's just offering a payroll slot where we would automatically enroll workers, give them that opportunity to save. And when they do, when we have this in place, it's really amazing. What we find is really only about 20 to 25% of moderate income workers opt out. We really get 75, almost 80% of workers starting to save. They like it. And that's where you get the 60 million new participants. It's just an enormous change to the way we approach the retirement system. Because right now, we really sort of focus on the same people that already are in plans, right? And we're all, as an industry, chasing after those same plans. And I think we need to kind of open our minds to the idea that every American should have a real opportunity to achieve a comfortable retirement, and that's the mission.
So that would be the sub 10 employees, but more than 6.
Okay.
So I know that the immediate reaction for the small business owner would be, but just the administrative burden. So what are we including in these proposals, or what would you propose we do just to ease the administrative burden? I understand there's maybe not a cost because they don't have to offer a match, but how are they going to handle it administratively?
Well, there is as I indicated, I may have indicated, but just in case, just to be clear, there's a 100% tax credit that you would get for up to $5,000 on any administrative costs for 5 years.
Okay.
So we're going to cover your costs. There's no employer contributions. This is already required in Oregon for companies with 5 employees or more, and 80% of those employers found they didn't incur any costs anyway, because it's really for the payroll company just another slot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm very confident there'll be a lot of good advisors out there, like the 401k lady, who are going to want to work with small businesses to help them join the system, help them get into this world of helping their employees get that opportunity. And what you're going to find as a small business owner is not only is there really not much burden to this, but your employees love it. It's really essentially a free benefit that you can give them, because the government, any cost that you incur, the government's going to cover.
That definitely provides the incentive, I think, that the small business owner needs. So you addressed the disparity between, ethnicities and the savings rates or the access to a retirement plan. And to me, as a retirement plan advisor, it hit home when you made the point to emphasize we have these disparities now, but when we implement auto enroll, there is no racial disparity.
That's right.
Everybody saves at 80%. So for the retirement plan advisors that are watching this, if you're like me, you're in client meetings and you're actively encouraging auto enroll, and there tends to be all these hurdles, that is an excellent point to bring up with your clients and prospects. Another benefit of auto enroll that I probably hadn't been including.
I think that's right. And, if you think about it from your own client's perspective, if you're an advisor, thinking about it from your own client's perspective, but even just as a business owner, if you're listening, really you don't, I know racial issues are so topical right now, and they can be very divisive, obviously. But I think we all, when we see our own workforces, the people that we work with, there's not dramatic differences in the way people behave from a financial or economic standpoint. And so what the data clearly shows is that once you get everybody access to a 401k, they kind of save at the same rates. If there are any differences, it's based on income. It's not based on race. So the key to the opportunity to get to a comfortable retirement is having that plan at work. And that's what we're trying to address.
So I want to ask you about state-run plans. And I'm going to ask this in a selfishly from my perspective. So as a young retirement plan advisor, we're seeing these state auto plans popping up. So that's in 10 states, I believe now, soon to be 6 more. Am I at any potential risk, or is there any potential infringement upon my business as a retirement plan advisor by these state-run plans? Is there a chance in 15 to 20 years they're going to be so popular that they started to eat into our market share, if you will?
So, I get this question from advisors all the time, and let's. I mean, you're in Tennessee, right?
Yes.
All right. So So let's assume the great state of Tennessee decides to create remember the federal government. Let's assume this law passes. The federal government's requiring every employer with 6 employees to have a plan throughout the whole country. And someone in the state legislature of Tennessee says, we should create a payroll deduction IRA program, essentially go into the financial services business. Why? I have no idea, but let's assume they do it. All right. There's nothing in the law to stop them from doing it. So, Jeannie, 401k lady, I gotta believe that you will kick their ass. All right. I am not the slightest bit worried that you can compete with the state of Tennessee, and pretty much anything. So, and that's really what I say to advisors who bring this up. Like, come on. I mean, listen, anybody, you're going to have payroll companies that are going to offer this. Amazon might offer it. There's going to be competition. Some terrible product, fine, let them. But, if you look at California, the investment options are pretty lame. So, I remain confident that the best way for an employer to have a plan is to be working with a qualified advisor, because they're the ones who are going to help their employees save.
Good answer. Great answer. Okay, so you threw it in at the end of your session, but in our experience, this has been number one topic of conversation with all of our clients. The proposed bill to allow for the emergency withdrawal of $1,000. So essentially, it's proposed right now. I'm not sure where it is in the legislative process, but the idea being just proposed that your employees can take a $1,000 emergency withdrawal distribution on every calendar year. Again, meant to address that fact that
it's not every year. They can do it, but they have to repay before they do it again.
Got it. Okay. So kind of like a loan.
It's really a short-term.
Okay. So my question, people are loving this and wanting to figure out a way to do this. Do you think that will pass?
Yeah. I think this is one of those things I'm relatively confident.
Okay.
The idea of a emergency savings account, it'll happen eventually. I think we like the idea of piggybacking on the 401k system, because what I don't want is a situation where, now I've got, I already have like these options, right? I got to put a little money here. I got an HSA here. Now I got another account that I have to, select. It's too complicated. Let's just, all we need is a little bit out of a 401k. They've already got a savings program. Let's not complicate things by creating another one. We think this is a pretty elegant way of doing it.
Okay. Couldn't agree more. I think it's desperately needed. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you one final question, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. Okay. So I'm going to put yourself in my shoes. Retirement plan advisor. I still have a solid, unfortunately, 30-year career before I personally retire.
So do I.
So do you. So if you were me or a young retirement advisor, or even a personal financial planning advisor, where would you be strategically placing your time? How would you be trying to look ahead and build a career based on future initiatives at this point?
Well, I talked about it at the general session here at the summit, and I encourage folks to sign up for next year's summit in Tampa, April 3rd, 4th in Tampa Bay. It'll be a lot of fun. This is, if this happens, and it's happening either slowly or quickly, Jeannie. It's this, the way the states are going, it's just inevitable. It's just a question of how long. Even Tennessee was looking at this last year.
Yes.
This idea of having all of these new entrants into the system, up to over 60 million, is an enormous lead generation opportunity that the financial services industry has never seen. And so if you think about this from a participant business standpoint, it's increasing the size of the pie by 60%. The prospects are increasing by 60%. If you look at it just from a plan business standpoint, right now there's almost 800,000 plans. We're going to get close to doubling the size of the pie by adding 625,000 new plans. Yeah. So figuring out a way to leverage your practice think of it differently. It's not a plan business, it's a participant business. These are opportunities, not just in terms of plan level advice, but also participant opportunities for financial service. All of those participants are your prospects. And so this is a huge, huge opportunity that a 401k advisor is poised to be able to really leverage. And so that's what I'd ask people to think about is helping these businesses put these plans in, getting your product lined up, and then figuring out a way to leverage all of those participants as potential clients too.
Absolutely. Just increasing the size of the pie. And like you've been saying, we've all been kind of going after the same pie. Now we're growing the pie.
That's a big pecan pie. Huge.
Well, Brian, I want to say thank you so much. You're a busy man, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to us and everybody out there who may be watching right now. We're going to do another LinkedIn Live tomorrow with Lisa Petronio. She's a fellow friend and advisor of mine, 3 kids. So we're going to talk about chaos with work, kids, and COVID. That should be fun. I know. And then we'll do one more plug for the NAPA 401k Summit next year, April 3rd through the 5th in Tampa. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and keep following the video. Keep subscribing to 401k Lady because we always have new content coming out.